Good morning or good afternoon. I'm not really sure what time of day it is that you're watching this video, but I first wanted to say just welcome to ABC. I hope that you have a long and exciting career with ABC. We're glad to have you as part of the family. Today I'm going to go over what we lovingly refer to as our driving speech. First thing I want you to know about being the owner of the business is that I take responsibility for all the trucks on the road and all the people that are on the road. And I take that responsibility to heart. And if I feel like we've got a driver who is a danger to themselves or to others, then I don't think this is a job that that person needs to have. There's a lot of jobs in the world where you drive to work and you stay at work and you work there all day and then you drive home at the end of the day. This is not one of those kind of jobs. This job is a job that we're going to send you from place to place to place. We're going to send you to 15 or more places every day. That means that you're going to drive 3 to 4 times more than the average driver. Average driver probably puts in 12 to 15,000 miles a year. You're going to put in 3 to 4 times more than that, which means you're 3 to 4 times more likely to make somebody angry on the road, to get a speeding ticket on the road, to be in an accident on the road, and quite frankly, to die on the road. If I think somebody is a danger to themselves or others, then I have no guilt when I sit there and say they need a job that goes and stays at work all day long, not one that has them on the road all day. So understand that first, that I take your safety, our reputation, and the safety of the public way too serious to have you drive one of our vehicles if you're not a good driver. The kind of driver that gives space, not the kind of driver that takes space. You know, when you're driving on the road and you're trying to go from the access road onto the highway, and there's 2 cars, and there's really more than enough space for you to pull into that spot, but the driver behind is like, you can get in after me, and they pull up, and they take that space. That's the kind of driver I don't want you to be. If you're the second driver and you're up close and you see someone coming down the access road, I want you to be the kind of driver that gives space. Create a little bit of space. Let that car pull into that spot. It's just called being courteous, but it also is more efficient for the road. Many times when you're stopped in traffic, that traffic is only there because people aren't nice to each other. And when people start hitting brakes, the next person behind overreacts and overreacts and overreacts all the way back. Suddenly we're stopped. And then when it breaks free, no one has a clue why we were stopped. So keep that in mind. When you see someone do that kind of activity, when you see someone pull up and squeeze you out, instead of getting mad, just say to yourself, I'm not that kind of driver. That's not me. I don't do that. And maybe you do today, but that's the change I'm looking for you to make. And speaking of change, I want you to understand, I know what it's like to have to make a change in driving behavior. Between the time I was 16 and the time I was 18, I got 18 speeding tickets. They took my driver's license away. Stood in front of a judge back then. Don't know how the heck I got away with 18 speeding tickets to start with, but he took my driver's license away for 3 months. Quite frankly, I thought, I'll take that, because I thought there really should have been a better or a more stiff penalty at that time. But I know what it's like to have to do that. Some years ago, when I first started business, I hadn't quite really changed that habit that well. I was driving more erratically or more aggressively. We had other people who were working with us, and I did a lot of the training back then, and so how I drove is kind of how they drove, right? So I drove aggressively while I'm training them how to do the job, and then they get on the road and they're driving aggressively. And one day I had a phone message, and back in those days it was the tape that was inside the phone. And so this guy, it had a time limit, right? So it would only record for like a minute and a half, 90 seconds. This guy was so pissed off he had to call back twice to get all of it out. And he says it's a well-known fact that ABC drivers are the worst drivers in the state of Texas. And that really hit me hard. And I'm like, I've got to change. So back in the day when we had the little label makers that would print on clear tape, I wrote the worst drivers in the state of Texas on the label, and I put that at the top of the windshield of every single truck we have. I decided we had to make a change. So in addition to the stickers we put up in the windows that said the worst drivers in the state of Texas, we started some policies. And those policies were designed to affect drivers' behavior. So we have a few policies. First one is driving complaints. The very first time that somebody calls in to complain about your driving, we're going to listen to your story. We're going to listen to their story. And then we're going to fine you $50. No questions asked. I don't judge it. You can tell me they're wrong. Doesn't matter. There's a $50 fine. The second time it happens, I'm probably listening to you a little bit less. And then there is a $100 fine. And the third time that it happens, probably not listening to you at all on your side of the story. And there's either there is a $150 fine or we terminate employment. Now, I've been in business for 29 years as of 2018. And I can tell you that in 29 years, we've had 2 people that we've had to terminate for driving complaints. First one was a young driver was speeding through school zones, and a police officer saw him. And when he saw him, 2 out of the 3 complaints were this police officer calling in to say he's going 40 miles an hour in an active school zone. Kind of clear and simple. You don't keep that kind of a driver. So the second time I had to fire somebody, he had 5 red light violations in 1 year. You got to think about it. A red light violation is one of the most dangerous things you can do on the road. Either you're going to T-bone somebody or somebody's going to T-bone you, and somebody's going to get hurt. That's just the way that happens. In addition to the driving complaint policy, we have another policy, and it's about accidents. And there's really just 2 kinds of accidents when you consider a company like ours. And that is a not at fault accident or an at fault accident. You may feel like this was a not at fault accident, and the driver that is involved with you on the other side may also feel the same, that it was not their fault. So how do you make sure that if it was not your fault, it doesn't count against you? And that is that we have to have a police report. And that police report is used to make a determination when both people are pointing at each other. So if you have a not at fault accident, and the insurance companies are the ones who make that determination based on that police report and everybody's statements. If it's a not at fault accident, then nothing. We're going to get you into another car. We're going to hope that you're okay. We're going to take care of you. Workers' comp kicks in to make sure that you've got any medical issues that are taken care of. Most things are just taken care of, and as soon as you're ready, we put you in another vehicle and we keep going down the road. If it's an at fault accident, same things happen. We want to care that you're okay, but an at fault accident will cost you $1,000. We have a $7,000 deductible, which means parts on our vehicle, parts on their vehicle, but $1,000 of that is coming out of your pocket. We're going to take it out at $100 a check for 10 checks, but you're paying $1,000. 3 at-fault accidents inside a 3-year period, and we will not work together. Our insurance company will tell us that we need to terminate you or buy you a separate policy, which we just don't do. So, one thing about both of those policies is that 3-year clock resets. If your last accident or your last complaint was 4 years ago, then it's not counting in this 3-year period. The next thing I want to talk to you about is texting and driving. I have a really harsh feeling about texting and driving. I was driving to Tyler maybe 4 years ago, so in 2014. On the way to Tyler, there was a woman who was driving a Grand Marquis. It's a big full-size car, it's very heavy. And this woman was driving down the road and she kind of passed us. And I looked out the window, and in this Grand Marquis, there's a big console in the middle, and she's got her phone in her hand, and she's got her hand on the wheel, and she's just driving and texting like this the entire way. And I thought, jerk, someone's texting and driving. As we continued driving on I-30 headed out to East Texas, we came over a slight hill. It's a pretty flat and definitely very straight road, but it had a slight hill. And as we crested the hill, she had passed me and she had gone on ahead. As we crested the hill, an 18-wheeler up ahead was dead stopped. They were doing road work and the traffic had been stopped by the police. She plowed into the back of it. If you look at the picture that's associated with this, you'll see something interesting. There are no skid marks behind her. She never hit the brakes. I was the first person on the scene. I jumped out, I pulled to the side, I jumped out of my car, I went over to her door. She's alive. She's bleeding from her face. She's bleeding from her arms. And I go to the door and I'm trying to wrench it open and I'm yanking on it, and I can't get it open. And so I think, well, I'll go around to the passenger side and I'll pull that door open. So I go around to the other side, I open that door. It was weird, I didn't think much of it, but the passenger seat, instead of being this way, had fallen forward into the car, and it was covered by a blanket. And all I'm thinking about is reaching across this to help the woman who was hurt on the other side of the car. As I did that, what I realized is there was somebody underneath the blanket. Pulled back the blanket, it was her mother. Her mother's face was split here to here, about that wide, and all the gore you can imagine inside that. So I'm reaching across this woman trying to help the younger person. Her mother was obviously dead. We talked to the guy who was driving the 18-wheeler. He had been riding with her for about 400 miles. And in that entire time, he said that every single time she was next to him, he looked down and she was texting. She never hit her brakes. By the way, the truck, if you look in the picture, you'll see the truck was carrying flammable liquids. How she didn't blow up everybody right there, I don't know. We tried to follow her to the hospital. We couldn't. I will tell you that it had a massive effect on me. We at ABC, myself included, and you, if you're going to keep a job here, do not text and drive. If we know you are texting and driving one time, we're done. We don't work together anymore. You need a job that goes somewhere else. You need a job that stays at work all day. You don't need a job that you're driving down the road all the time. There's some people who look at some of these policies and go, oh, driving complaints, I get fined. Oh, I get fined if I have an accident. Oh, I can get fired if I have these things. These policies work. We have about 150 trucks on the road today. And I can tell you that we get maybe 1 or 2 driving complaints a month. It's because of the policy and the fact that people don't want to be fined and don't want to, quite frankly, get called in front of a manager or myself and try to explain why this person was pissed off at them driving down the road. So the policies, since we put them in place, they work. Those policies also work on me. Again, I wasn't a great driver, but somewhere around 25 years ago or so, I decided I had to change. So I've changed, and you can too. I will tell you that we've made changes to try to show our commitment to these kinds of things. Number one, it used to be a long time ago, our map was a MapSco, which is a big book, lots and lots of pages. That was our map. We had your work that was on a clipboard with paper, and then we had a cell phone. And at that time, we called you. We expected you to answer the phone, which meant pick the phone up and answer the phone. And by the way, the truck was a small truck. It was like either a Ford Ranger or a Mazda B2300, and it was a stick shift. Today, we buy full-size vehicles. They're all automatic. They either have a sync or a Bluetooth ability through the stereo that comes standard with the car, or we add it. And so in many of our trucks, you'll see a little device, this little square with a little button on it, and it's called a Parrot. You pair your phone with it. So if you get a call, you hit one button and you are now able to talk through the stereo with a microphone that's installed, and it's much, much safer. We have a Garmin in every single one. Instead of that map, we have a Garmin. By the way, the Garmin actually syncs with your schedule so that whatever job you are headed to is already on that Garmin. You hit go and it takes you to that stop. When you're finished with it, you hit go for the next one. It takes you to that stop. No need to flip a map, no need to enter an address, no need to be distracted. I would say that the average amount that we're spending extra on a vehicle is probably $10,000 to $12,000 in order to have all of that equipment be on that truck. It's for your safety. It is to make sure that you are driving around in a vehicle that is going to protect you if you are in an accident, and to give you the equipment to keep you from being distracted while you drive. So you don't make a phone call ever while you're driving. You pull over to make a phone call. You can accept one. Somebody calls you, you can hit that one button. It's no different than hitting the stereo. Last thing about driving down the road, is that their road rage is real. My own niece was run off the road and into a ditch because somebody was mad at her. If you have somebody who's behind you and they're being very aggressive and they're obviously mad at you, don't look in the window and go, "I'm sorry," because they're going to read something then other than "I'm sorry" on your lips. What we have found to be the very best thing is to just kind of slightly bow your head and give one wave. Not a one finger wave, just a wave, and then put your eyes back on the road and keep driving. If they stay with you, then maybe take an exit. If they exit with you, then call the police and get to somewhere public. Get to a public, crowded parking lot. If that person were to follow you there, and if they were getting out of their car to come to your vehicle, you drive on. By doing that, they're going to probably leave you alone. Do not engage. Do not try to get somebody to understand that you didn't mean to, because all it's going to do is continue escalating the problem. You may also have a day that, you're kind of really raging, right? That you're sitting there, you've got so many stops to get to, and you just can't figure out how I'm going to get all this done today. And you're getting very excited and very upset while you're driving down the road. When you feel that, you need to recognize it. What I do is I take one of my radio stations on the radio and I put it to something I find soothing. For me, I use Christian radio. Some people use jazz or some smooth rock, anything, whatever it is that is very soothing to you. So the first thing you do is hit the button to go to that radio station. The act of hitting the button says I recognize in myself that I'm getting upset. For me, like I said, I use Christian radio. It's real hard to want to flip somebody off while someone's singing about God. So if that works for you, I highly recommend it. So in addition to the policies that are basically designed to change your driving behavior, we have some other policies that I need to make you aware of before you are assigned a vehicle and go out in the truck. Number one is that there's a toll tag in every single vehicle. That toll tag is tied to ABC. Now, understand, I don't drive the vehicle and I don't choose what roads you drive. You need to understand that we have that in the vehicle so that we get the lowest possible toll charge. But those toll charges are yours. You'll have in front of you a little bit in a moment a piece of paper that you'll sign that those toll charges are yours. You can choose to not drive toll roads, but when you do need to drive on a toll road, you need to understand that those charges will be taken out of your paycheck. If you miss the month in which you are supposed to get your vehicle changed, your oil changed, you will be fined $100. We have a mechanic that works here at ABC. His name is John Steppen. John will have you on a schedule, and you will need to get the oil changed in your vehicle when John tells you to. So don't miss it. There's no forgiveness to this. If you miss it by a day, if the end of the month comes, you were due in October, November 1st, you come in and say, "Oh my goodness, I really need to get my oil changed." We'll change your oil, but we're still going to fine you $100. So just get your oil changed. Years ago, didn't have any policy like that. We burned up several engines from people who, "Oh, I'll get it changed, and then it just doesn't happen. In addition to that, we have a clean vehicle policy. We get a lot of leads from folks who see our vehicles driving down the road. When they see our vehicle driving down the road, they think, there's the company I want to call. Understand, they're watching you, they see you, they have a phone number, they have a website, but it is a big part of our advertising program. So it's very important that it make a good impression on the road. Number one, by the way you drive, but also by the way it looks. So it's important that your vehicle stays clean all the time. I park my vehicle right outside the front of the building here at ABC. If you ever see my vehicle dirty, come find me and I will give you $20. Because if we ever see your vehicle dirty here at this office, we will fine you $20. So just keep it clean. It's way easier. I clean my truck at least once a week, many times 2 times, and if it's been raining, it might be 3 or 4 times. So find a car wash that's close to your home or close to the office, preferably close to your home because you start from home most of the time, and just keep it clean. That's it. It's really that simple. Don't let it get dirty. It's raining this morning, and yeah, it's going to get a little dirty this morning. On my way home, I'm going to go and wash the vehicle so that tomorrow when I show up for work, it's clean again. I need it to make a good impression everywhere you go. Take pride in that vehicle. Make sure that you look at that vehicle and you go, that's one I want to drive. Start noticing dirty vehicles. Start saying to yourself, that's not me. I drive a clean truck. The more you say these things to yourself, the more you will change your own behavior. It just works. In that clean truck policy, it also includes, by the way, the interior of the vehicle and all the equipment and materials that you have in the back of the truck. When you bring your truck in for an oil change, our folks back there, John and Miguel, are going to do a full inventory of your truck. If you keep it highly organized, when you show up, you grab what you need, you go. So just keep all of those areas highly organized. Understand also that every single vehicle has a gas card in it. We use a company called Ride Express. It stays in the vehicle. The card is assigned to the vehicle. You will be given a PIN, personal identification number, a PIN. That PIN is yours. The card belongs to the truck. That way, if you ever have to move from one vehicle to another, your PIN works with every single card in every single vehicle that ABC has. That way, we're able to track how much gas was bought for that vehicle, or we're able to track how much gas you bought. You enter 2 bits of information with that gas card. The number 1 is your PIN. The PIN is the last 4 digits of your driver's license. That way, it's easy for you to remember. Now, in the off chance that somebody else has the last 4 digits of their driver's license the same as yours that already works here, you might be assigned something else. But in general, it is the last 4 digits of your driver's license. Do not share that with anyone. Understand that if somebody was wanting to be a thief and they had your PIN, they could put gas into somebody else's car and put it on your PIN. And when that happens, we're coming after you because it's going to be hard to prove that it wasn't you. Understand that we also have a no tolerance policy to things like that. When somebody uses that gas card to put gas into a vehicle that's not an ABC vehicle and put it in their spouse's car, how do we know that? Well, that report that we run is going to show that every other Ford F-150 that we have gets 17 miles to the gallon, but you're getting 9 miles to the gallon. Well, that tells us that some gas might be going into a vehicle that's not ours. And when that happens, it's an integrity issue. And if it's an integrity issue, we just don't work together. So don't try it. It's just safer to not try it. It sounds like, oh my gosh, there's so many fines here. Well, one of the fines that we talked about, the $1,000, goes toward the actual deductible, right? That $7,000 deductible that we have on both sides of the equation. And when it's an at-fault accident, we're going to take that $1,000 from you. Well, that goes toward the actual deductible. All the other fines that we do, oil change fines, dirty car fines, driving complaint fines, any of those fines that we get goes into the ABC Benevolence Fund. So that when somebody here is going through a hard time, we have a fund. And the monies that go in there, part of it, everybody can contribute to it. We normally suggest you think about maybe $1 a check. So that's $24 a year from you that's going into that benevolence fund. If you feel more generous, that's fine. But if everybody's doing that, the account starts to build. Currently, we're probably at about $18,000 that's sitting in that account. That account is there, so if somebody goes through a tragedy, somebody has a problem at ABC, there is a group of folks that I am not part of that it goes to. They run the benevolence fund, and they make decisions as to how they can help. So just realize that that money that sounds like, oh my gosh, they're taking this money from me as a fine, is actually going to a place that might help other people. Also alleviates my guilt for taking it away from you, because I'm gonna take it away from you. So just understand that if you want to avoid that money, just stick to the policies. It's really fairly simple. A couple other things I wanted to talk to you about. One is, remember, we have a lot of equipment that you are being assigned, right? You've got an iPhone, you've got the case that it goes into, you might have a printer, you've got a Garmin in the truck. Realize that those things are assigned to you and you're responsible for them. So if you break them, if you lose them, if they get stolen from your vehicle, we're still going to take the money away from you to replace the item. So don't leave those items in your vehicle overnight. It's called an attractive nuisance. Somebody walks by, they see a light shining, and they go, oh my goodness, they smash and grab. They break the window, grab the whatever it is, the Garmin or the phone, and they run. just take them inside every night. The next thing I want to talk to you about is your professional appearance. We believe in having a professional appearance here. So I expect your beard, if you have one, to be neatly trimmed, not coming all down your neck, not growing all up your cheeks. I don't want any handlebar mustaches coming off. I don't want funky shavings coming in on the side. A neatly trimmed professional beard is acceptable with one caveat. If you're in a job that you wear a respirator, that respirator must seal against your face. A couple of ways to do it. One is shaving, right? Shaving, I can wear a regular old respirator that just goes right around this area of my mouth, and that's it. If I have a beard, we force you to buy the difference between a regular respirator and a full face respirator, which has 2 levels of seal. One tight around your face here and nose, and the other that goes around your forehead and under your chin. And it will seal most of the time. Worst case scenario, you may have to trim your beard to thinner or less hair, or this is gross, but some people do it, and that's put a little Vaseline right there. Now, I wouldn't do it because it'd make me feel yucky all day, but if you wanted to put Vaseline there, the respirator will then seal against your face. We do a fit test at least once a year to make sure that those respirators are still fitting around your face. In addition to the grooming policy, it's about how you look, right? I want you to imagine that your mother's at home and here comes a knock on the door, and she looks outside the door and somebody's standing there and their shirt tail's undone, their sleeves are rolled up, they got tattoos everywhere, they got a long, nasty beard. What is your mom gonna think? Do I wanna let this person in my home? And even if I'm okay with letting this person in my home, am I gonna just let them do their job and leave them alone? Or am I gonna follow them everywhere to make sure? Because this person obviously doesn't take good care of things. Why would they take good care of things in my home, right? So now flip it. Somebody comes to the door and they're wearing a nice pair of pants, nicely pressed, a clean uniform shirt. They take their hat off when they come to the door so you can see them eyeball to eyeball. Maybe they have a beard, maybe they don't, but if they do have a beard, it's neatly trimmed. They're looking clean. Their hands are not filthy. They look outside and they see that truck, and that truck looks great. It looks clean. It's marked well. They know who you are. You're wearing a label. They know who you are and what you're there for. Now they open the door, you come on in, and they trust that you're a professional and you're going to do the job you need to do. And they are way more likely to just let you do your job. Whereas, if they don't trust you, they're going to follow you around everywhere. It builds trust. No matter how you want to look at it, no matter how much you want to consider it, how you look either builds trust or it erodes trust. And I don't care what race, color, creed, or anything you are, it doesn't matter. This is something you choose to put on every day, or you choose not to. Keeping a vehicle clean is something you choose to do, or you choose not to. Those things stay professional. Leaving your hat on, where your hat's right here, and you're going, I'm trying to talk to you, but you can't see my eyes, or I take the hat off my head and I look you eyeball to eyeball. Looking someone in the eye is one of those other things that builds trust. If you have a hard time with looking someone in the eye, I'd get to where you're a little more comfortable with it, because I know it's hard for you, but it's even harder on the person that you're not looking in the eye. If I'm talking to you and the only time I'm just looking up here, or I roll my eyes when I'm talking to you, you just need to try to change that habit if you have that kind of a habit. We expect everyone to continue their education with us. So we've got a lot of opportunities for you. The first thing is that you have to become a licensed technician apprentice. That means you have to finish all of our inside training courses. We take training extremely seriously around here. So at the end of it, you'll have somebody that will review the entire thing and then talk to you about how did it go, right? You have to pass the exam. You can take it more than once. If you fail it the first time, we'll let you take it a second time. Each exam costs money. We pay for the exams that you pass. So if you don't pass it, you had to pay for that exam. If you do pass it, then we pay for it. So if you had to take it twice, the first one you're paying for, the second one we're paying for. Those exams will get you from a licensed technician apprentice to a licensed technician to a certified applicator. And then if you want to really, your pay is many times tied to where you are in the licensing and how long you've been around. After you've been in the business for a long time, you can become an associate certified entomologist, an ACE. With that, it's a real badge of honor. A certified applicator is a real badge of honor. Those are things that are going to help you in your career to make more money and to just be more professional. By the way, that training book that you just finished has all the records. We make a copy of every single thing in that and give you a copy. State of Texas says that if you leave me, which I hope you never do, and you go to work for another pest control business, that if they call me and ask me for the records, I'm supposed to just send them the records. I'm a conscientious objector to that. I am going to have you sign a piece of paper that says that you have a copy of all your training records, so that when they ask me for a copy of your training records, I can say, no, ask that person for the copy of the training records. And if you give it to them, fine, I'm not going to do it, okay? Because I paid for that training. I paid you while you were doing it, and I paid for the person that trained you, and I paid for the materials that you used for it. So I look at those records as my records. So I'll give you a copy because you need it, and I think you should probably keep it, put it on a shelf. If we were to put a value to that, we put a value somewhere around $10,000 for that training. It's valuable. Keep a record. I think that pretty much brings us to the end of our chat. Again, I just wanted to welcome you to ABC. I hope that, a lot of times people hear this chat and they're kind of like, wow, that's a lot. And it is, but I hope it also instills in you that we're here to be professionals. We're here to do a job. We're here to take care of each other. We're here to take care of our customers. I think that this business, the pest control business, is very unique in one way. It is truly all about relationship. I don't think any other job gets the kind of opportunity that we get to repetitively see a customer, and not just see them, but if you're on the commercial side, you get invited into the kitchen, right? The back of the house that no one ever sees. If you're on the residential side, you're invited into their bedroom and their bathrooms, and you're going and looking in places that they don't let their best friends look at. They want to trust you. They want to know you. Spend a little time with every customer, asking them questions about themselves and telling them something about you. They want to know about you because they want to know who it is that they've let come into their home and take care of their pest problems. So just realize what a great opportunity that is. You truly can have an impact on people's lives, your families, your coworkers, and our customers. So thank you very much. Hope you have a great day. Drive safe.